Hey everybody, welcome to Maine Wedding Buzz, and today I'm really excited to be talking to wedding officiant Maria Northcott about her company and how she started in this great industry of wedding planning that we all do here in the state of Maine. So welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Fausto, for having me on your show. I'm so
My
happy
pleasure.
to be here. It's Maria Northcott.
Northcott, sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Sorry.
Northcott, yes. So I grew up in New Hampshire and moved to Maine 9 years ago, and by way of California and Utah and British Columbia. My husband's from British Columbia.
Awesome.
So yeah, we moved from Damerscotta to Bath 2 years ago, and we live in a sweet little cape on the New Meadows River.
Oh, nice.
We have 2 kitties. I'm a crazy cat lady. They have their own
Don't tell my daughter, please. she wants cats all day.
Well, my cats have their own Instagram feed.
Oh my God, it's so
at
funny.
Maine Cats. Yep. So, and I say that I love Maine almost as much as I love weddings, which you know I really love weddings, so that's saying something.
Yeah.
So.
And so moving to, was that one of the driving forces to starting your officiant business?
It wasn't actually. My parents live in Maine, so being near family was really what got us here in the first place. But Nick and I are celebrating our 10th anniversary this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we did get married in Maine. And while I was planning the wedding, I realized, like, this is really what I want to be doing.
like.
I loved it. And I sort of,
There's a glow to it. Almost,
it was so fun. And I'm really, I love the planning part too. So I kind of tucked it into the back of my mind that I wanted to be in the wedding business, in the wedding industry, but wasn't exactly sure what that would look like. So, how I got into this business is I was taking a certification course to become a notary.
Okay.
And during the course, the instructor said, she explained that in Maine, it's one of 3 states that allow authorized notaries to perform wedding ceremonies. And that was like all the planets aligned, total aha moment. And I realized, oh, this is great. I can finally make my way into the wedding industry. And I'm going into my 5th season, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And how and when did Sweet Start begin?
Well, that's sort of the beginnings.
So 5 years?
Yeah, it was 5 years ago. Yep, and I up until now, I've been doing 10 weddings this summer. So.
I always tell guests that I have on the show, do you always remember your first client?
Yes.
Because I always remember mine fondly, because that's the person who gave me my jump start. And whether, it was a small budget or a large budget, that's the person that you have to go, wow, she put me on my path. Do
Absolutely.
you do the same thing?
Oh my gosh, yes. So my very first clients, so I just kind of said, yes, I'm a notary and I enjoy performing wedding ceremonies, and I got my name on the Informed Notaries of Maine's website, and this couple from Pennsylvania contacted me and said, would you do our wedding? And I said, sure.
You got all
Hadn't
excited.
done one before. I didn't know really what I was doing, but we worked really closely together and wrote this sweet little ceremony. It was a tiny wedding. It was great to be my first wedding. It was only 12 people.
So it's more like an elopement, or was there an actual?
There was their family was there,
nice.
and but a very intimate ceremony. And after the ceremony, I had people coming up saying, how long have you been doing this? And I was like, this was my first one. Yeah, so Eliza and Toby were my first
and you remember
clients. Yeah, I'll never forget
Mine was
them.
Mary Shields, Philadelphia
sweet.
church basement.
Philadelphia, yeah.
So it was kind of, I always remember her fondly.
Nice.
What would you say your main responsibility as an officiant is? Like, where does the starting point of it? Do you get the marriage license for them? How does that all work?
So I can give them guidance on getting the marriage license, but that's really their responsibility. My main responsibility that I see is to help my clients really mark this significant moment in their lives with a ceremony that's heartfelt and reflects who they are as a couple. So I do this by sort of helping them envision the entire ceremony from start to finish. And a lot of my clients come to me and they know that they want a meaningful ceremony and they want it to reflect who they are, but they don't quite know how to go about doing that. So that's where my experience comes in. It's really important because I can help them pull in readings and songs.
Oh, so you create the vows for them too?
Yeah, I can guide them through writing their own vows or create the vows for them if they want to do it that way.
So that's an option, so you can write them for them if they don't want to write them? Wow,
Yep.
that's
And I can also kind of give them advice on the flow and music and the pairing of attendants and all of that. So, but really on wedding day, my main responsibility is to then manage all of those details and manage the whole ceremony so that the two of them can just let go, relax, and just be present in the moment.
And put the bridesmaids at ease because they all want to help, and it's
That's
great.
right.
But this is your job and this is your profession.
That's right. If you have a professional who you trust and you've formed a relationship with, you can just take a breath, and let me handle all of it, and they don't have to worry about a thing.
What about readings? Do you put those together for them too? Because now I see that a lot. It's becoming more popular. Before, when you're doing an off-site wedding, it's at a location that doesn't have a chapel or anything. Now I see more and more people doing readings. Is that something that you're seeing happening?
Definitely. I encourage it.
And do you put those together as well?
I can. Yeah, I have a whole folder full of readings categorized by type. And I probably have, 100 different readings that they can pull from. And if they even tell me like, oh, we want, a funny reading, I can give them suggestions, or if they want something a little more serious or prose or rhyming,
And normally it's just two, one on each side. Usually it's a cousin or somebody that's not in the wedding party, but you want them to feel special.
Exactly. And it's one of the ways that I, suggest to my couples. It's a really nice way to pull somebody into the wedding, give them the honor of being part of the ceremony, but without having them in the bridal party or the wedding party. So I actively encourage it.
Nice, I like that. But it's a nice tradition, and I love to see that, because it takes the ceremony from being boom, boom, boom fast to maybe half an hour.
Exactly.
These 10-minute ceremonies, and you're like, oh, give it a little bit more.
That's right.
This is, I think, the most important part of your day, because you're getting married.
Yeah.
I get the party, I get all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the wedding is really where you're at. I don't know if I'm wrong in thinking
Oh no,
that, but
you're definitely right. I feel the exact same way.
Maybe I'm old school, but
no, and I also think it brings in other voices, so it's not just me talking the whole time.
Yeah.
And especially if the couples don't want to read their own vows out loud, there are no other voices. So bringing in readings, really kind of helps personalize it even more.
Do you have clients that don't want to read their vows and then you read it for them, and that's okay to do something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. They sometimes just want to say "I do,"
and just
yeah, and not read, not even read from a card, And some people do want to read from a card and they're shaking, but
it's an emotional moment. I totally get it. Which of the packages is your most, or do you have packages that are most popular that clients come in and say?
I do. So I have a super sweet wedding, and then I have a sweet and simple wedding, and then a sweet wedding elopement. And the super sweet wedding is definitely my most popular. That's the full-on wedding with the full customization, unlimited guest list, unlimited attendance, and a rehearsal.
And so you do the rehearsal too. So if the rehearsal, do you do it the day before, come in, show everybody what to do?
Yep.
So are you there normally about an hour? Is that normally?
Yeah, for the rehearsal, usually about an hour. Yes.
And you get everybody's attention.
Well, I was a school teacher,
nice.
So I have all sorts of tricks for getting attention.
Can people specify ceremony music as well with you? Like, can you plan all that? And sometimes you'll get, whether the band has an organist or a harpist or a violinist. Do you organize that as well with them so that you know the cues of when bridal party? So how does that work?
Absolutely. So again, I really encourage my couples to think about those kinds of things, and we plan it together. And I will liaison with the musician or the DJ or whoever's doing the music. I even give them a little cue card that has what I'm going to say for their cues, and I always go over that with them before the wedding. So oftentimes those folks aren't at the rehearsal, which is fine. So I come an hour early before the wedding, and that's when I'll connect with all of the different people who have something to do with the ceremony, and the musicians or the DJ or those people, and I just give them a little card.
Awesome. And then with marriage licenses, which is one of the questions we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Do they have 90 days to get the license and then they can be married?
It's actually valid for 90 days. Okay. So they can get it as far as 90 days in advance of the wedding, although I always tell them don't get it too far in advance because then you have to keep track of it for all that time. Some town offices will actually allow them to file the intention to marry and then leave it at the town office and then pick it up.
Okay.
Which I recommend if they...
So if they're getting married, say, Norway, do they have to get it at City Hall in Norway, or can they get it in Portland or Saco?
Well, it really depends. If they live in Maine, they have to get the certificate, or it's actually filing the intention to marry in the town in which one of the partners lives.
Got it.
So if they live in Norway, they'd have to get it at the town office in Norway. If they're from out of state, which most of my clients are,
they can get it anywhere.
They can get it anywhere. I even have people from Massachusetts.
So it's only the people that live in the town have to get it
in their town.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, so clients who live in Massachusetts, I say, come up and get it in Catering.
Okay.
And then just go home. You don't have to come to the town that you're getting married in. You can just get it in any town if you live out of state.
Now, do you have to file it, or do they file it?
So I file it.
Okay.
They bring it to the rehearsal, And I take it at the rehearsal, and then I'm responsible for it for the rest of the time. And that's my responsibility as a notary. And I make sure it gets filled out, it gets signed by the witnesses, and then I return it to the town office.
7 days, is that what it is?
It's 7 days, but I never wait that long. I usually do it the first business day after the wedding.
I like the way you work.
And I send it, so I can track it,
Yeah.
express mail, and make sure it gets there and gets signed for. So
How far are you willing to travel?
I go all over Maine.
You hear that? So,
Yeah, I mean, I do, if it's over 2 hours, I require an overnight stay, so
Okay.
accommodations will need to be included in my price.
Yeah.
So some couples are okay with that, and
Yeah.
they want me there, and they'll pay for that, but other couples, that's sort of the
because
range.
Belfast is a long drive. It's 2.5
Yeah.
hours up and 2.5 hours back. It's 5 hours in the car.
Bar
right?
Harbor, exactly.
Oh.
And I do, the other nice thing is I know other officiants around the state. I've sort of been working on getting a community of officiants together.
It's an excellent
So
one.
I can make referrals if it's too far away.
Awesome. And if someone doesn't have a site to get married, do you recommend locations? Because there are so many pretty locations in the state of Maine that I think a lot of people don't remember or know they exist.
Yes.
Do you do that?
I absolutely do. I mean, one of the things I do is make referrals to venues, believe it or not, as an officiant. I'm not the first thing that gets hired, but usually I'm a little further down the funnel. But oftentimes, right now I have 2 inquiries for 2017.
Excellent.
And at the time they inquired, neither of them had a venue.
Yeah.
So I make referrals to venues. And for elopements especially, I know all these nice little places where we can go and just...
Like I know recently you did something at the Unitarian Church, and that's one of my favorite locations.
The First Parish Church, yeah.
Beautiful in
Gorgeous.
there. The chandelier has a cannon that was shot in when the
Yes.
British invaded. Just beautiful.
And their reception hall is so gorgeous with the...
and they allow you to come in there, which is really nice.
Yes.
And so I like that you can recommend locations for them to get married.
Definitely.
So, and you also go onto site. So if you're getting married at a venue and you want everything there, she can also do that as well.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind. Do you recommend other wedding vendors on your portfolio of things to do?
Yes, I do. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. So we know that our industry really thrives on vendor-to-vendor referrals. So I'm always delighted when my couples ask me for recommendations. And I now know hundreds of wedding vendors that I can refer them to. I mean, I'm at the point where I can probably even make personalized referrals. Like I can think of, photographers who would be a great match for the couple, or
It's making the click connection, I like to call it. The right person with the right client sometimes works. And you started a really great networking thing, Fireside Chat. You want to talk a little bit about that? 'Cause
Sure,
I think it's a great way to bring people together. And tell us a little bit about that, because we were talking earlier, and I love the way you described it.
Yeah. So it's called the Maine Wedding Network, and the goals are really threefold. So it's to bring wedding vendors and wedding professionals together to cultivate community, and then to strengthen the community that's already there, because we have an amazing community of wedding vendors in the state, to celebrate success and be social and have fun, and then also to build our referral networks.
Yeah.
So, the idea with the Fireside Chats is they're small group facilitated discussions.
They're really intimate.
In my home,
Yeah.
it's only 12 people,
Yeah.
and I'm the one who facilitates the discussion. That's my education background. And I pick a topic for each chat, and we just, sort of sit in a small group and talk about all sorts of things that are relevant to us as small business owners in the wedding industry. And the nice thing is I get a nice diverse group of professionals who attend. So it's not all photographers. We might have venues or florists or people who, have a bar or from the band or whatever come, and in that setting
Bringing everybody together,
Yeah.
which forms a community. I mean,
It's
we're all in
really-
this together, and,
Yeah.
and like I've always said, there's a lot of work in this state, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I don't think that we're sort of a stepping stone to another generation. I think that we're as equal to New York and California, Chicago and Boston. Maine is now no longer a place where people come to just get married because it's cheap.
Right.
This is a place to get married because it's beautiful, the water, the locations. I mean, there are 72 venues in this state now.
Yeah.
When I first started 9 years ago, that wasn't that a lot
Yeah.
of venues.
And the quality of the professionals
Yeah.
is exceptionally high. I mean, we have the
Everything you can
talent
imagine.
rivals any
Exactly.
other major metropolitan
agree,
area.
I
We
agree.
really, yeah.
And you're bringing that all together, which is really
Mm-hmm.
nice. And you're forming these little pockets that people are enjoying. So you could say, hey,
Yeah.
Mary, I have somebody for you, and you're doing these at these little chats, which I appreciate
Yeah.
and I think is great.
I sort of see myself as a connector,
Nice.
so
That's
I
a great way to
connect
do it.
people together. And as an officiant, I do the same thing. I'm sort of, it's not about me, but I'm the person who kind of facilitates this union. And I feel the same way about bringing professionals together, connecting.
Do you still get emotional? Like,
oh my gosh.
do you really?
Always.
Awesome.
I mean, sometimes I even get more emotional at the rehearsal, which I don't understand why, but maybe because that's the first time I'm seeing them, but I also try to make the rehearsal fun and festive, because it is part of the festivities. It's like the first activity of the weekend. So I do try to make it silly and fun, but I always tear up.
For me, it's when the bride dances with the dad.
Oh, see, I'm gone by then.
So that's my moment, because I
Yeah.
always think of my daughter. And it's funny
Yeah.
because we were talking earlier before the show started about butterflies in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you don't get them, now I don't care how long you've been in the business, if
Yeah.
you don't get the butterflies in your stomach,
Yeah.
there's a moment that you stop caring. And I think when you get them, it's not because you don't know what you're doing, it's because you know you're going to do a good job, but
That's
you're
right.
nervous to get the whole thing going. Because this is only one day.
That's right.
But it's an important day.
That's right.
And there's no rewind button, so.
Yeah, I do. I still
love
get
that.
nervous. I mean,
And so-
and I'm usually standing with the groom if it's a
Yeah.
heterosexual couple right before I go out, and he'll look at me and he's like shaking, and I just put my hand on his back and take a deep breath. But he sometimes asks, "Are you nervous?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm always
Just
I
as nervous
always-
as
just
you."
as nervous. I'm a little shaky, but my goal is to really center myself and be really grounded, so that they don't worry that something, they can trust, again, that kind of
I
calm.
just realized something while we were talking. You get the best view because
Yes.
you not only see him, but you see her when she's coming down the aisle.
And that's
or
when I
if
cry.
it's the same exact, you see that moment when they see each other.
That's
now,
right.
Granted, they see each other every day.
Yes.
But it's that moment that they know it's going to be.
goosebumps
and,
right
and
now.
It just dawned on me that you get that really special moment with them that nobody else gets, because I don't think the bridesmaids and the groomsmen are really in that moment.
Nope.
But the three of you are.
Yep.
And it just dawned on me, what a wonderful thing.
That's when I start tearing up, usually.
Yeah.
It's when I see, them, whoever it is, if she's walking down the aisle
That's a
with
beautiful
her
thing.
parents or her mom or her dad, I just get,
How lucky
and
are
then I
you?
look at him and he's, getting emotional. It's a really beautiful moment.
Because you're part of their history. That's how I look at it.
Well, as an officiant, I'm actually part of the wedding. So a lot of wedding vendors are sort of part of the wedding, but behind the scenes. But the officiant is really part of the wedding. So I always counsel my couples to make sure they're finding somebody who they really have a connection with and feel comfortable with.
What's the most rewarding thing for you?
I really think it's working with these couples who care about their ceremony, first of all. They really, if they hire me, it's because they care about their ceremony. And my clients are interesting and creative and engaged, and working with those couples, it's so rewarding. I love this work.
Do you find that you almost want to be friends with them, but you can't be friends with everybody that's a client? And so that's just the reality of it, because you'd have an enormous list of friends.
Right.
But do you feel like, oh, I want you to be in my life forever, and then you just find yourself, no, I'm good.
Well, some of them, they will be in my life forever,
Yeah.
for sure. We keep in
Good.
touch on Facebook and even after the ceremony. But yeah, I think the way, we'll probably get there, I'll describe the way I work, but it's so intimate and we work so closely together for so long that a genuine warmth kind of forms between us. You could call it friendship or whatever, but we get to know each other.
Well, you become a counselor. I
In a way.
Do they do the same thing that they do with me? Do they tell you secrets that maybe nobody else knows? Because it's something that happens.
Yeah.
You become this bond. You're like, oh my God, that's too much information. I don't need to know that.
I don't know if I get that so much, but I
So-
do get the we definitely form a relationship. And which means on wedding day, then
They're comfortable.
They're comfortable. There's already a warmth, and we've had the rehearsal, and they can see that I'm silly and fun, but I'm also, I understand how important this moment is, and I take it really seriously, and yeah.
What's one tip you would offer for a successful ceremony?
Well, definitely, in order to have an engaging, personalized ceremony, make it all about you. So, make sure that it reflects who you are as a couple. Do the research, find out what's out there, read the traditional vows and whatever, but always ask yourself, does it reflect who we are? I really think those are the ceremonies where the guests say, I wasn't bored once the entire time, or, they were so engaged, they, put their phone down,
Yeah.
which I'm all about the unplugged wedding.
So am I. Oh my God. That's a must-have. Be in the moment.
Absolutely.
Just for those 30 minutes, just put it down.
Please.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing I would say for a successful ceremony really is make sure that officiant, whoever is standing with you on your wedding day, is somebody who you have a connection with, who you feel really a genuine warmth with, because it makes a difference.
I say the same thing about photographers too. I think the photographer is going to be with you in private moments.
Absolutely.
Where you're not fully dressed, and so you
That's
need to
right.
feel comfortable.
That's right.
Which
is why you should do an engagement shoot with your photographer for sure. Get to know them, get to know your vendors, connect.
That's a great way to do it.
Yep.
How do clients find you? Tell us all, because you literally are social media. So
I am. I have completely embraced social media. So I am very active on all the major platforms. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. And of course, my cats are also on Instagram.
I'm going to look for those. I'm going to take my daughter to go see those.
My website's asweetstart.com. And I blog too. So for couples getting married, and especially couples getting married in Maine, I blog inspiration, advice, tips. I have kind of photos of the weddings that I've been in, all about me. So it's a nice way for me to communicate who I am to my clients and for them to read, about me before they contact me. And I also send out a monthly newsletter to clients on my email mailing list. But I really, most of my clients are active online, so that's why I'm active online.
This is a social media world, so we have to do that.
And it's a whole new consumer. The millennials are new consumers, and they want to be able to have access quick and easy and make it painless and simple, and I try to provide that.
And website?
Website, asweetstart.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Maine Wedding Buzz, and I'll see you next week.